Hello everyone, I'm Dionysios and we're together with Orlando, and tonight we are going to discuss about modern times and how one could be safe in our era. Orlando, what do you think has remained the same and what has changed when it comes to remain safe?
I think the issue is these days things are getting worse rather than better. I think we're in a state of regression rather than progression in general. Everybody's forecasting recession. When there's recession, there's going to be more crime because people need more money, or people need money because they don't have jobs, etc. So I think in the next few years, especially in Western Europe, there's going to be a lot more problems.
Okay, in your opinion, when it comes to personal security, which ones are the practices, the age-old practices that still remain relevant?
Well, it's back down to the basics. Again, everybody should, if you're worried about your security, sort out a threat assessment. Work out the threats you're most likely to encounter. Be it when you're going to your car, be it having the car stolen, be it when you're on the street, be it when you're going shopping, be it your home. Work out your assessments. Do your assessments first. Think like a criminal and say, okay, this is how I'd rob me, this is how I would attack me. Once you've done the assessments, then you can start becoming a harder target. People like to drive flash cars. Okay, don't drive a flash car. Don't be going around obviously showing off that you've got wealth or you've got money. And that's even if you're middle class. Yeah, or even if you're, I don't want to say people are poor, because a lot of people, if you're dealing with crackheads, if you're dealing with junkies, $10 is big money to them.
And since you're talking about middle class, I find myself sometimes when I'm moving around with what everyone of us has around, a smartphone, this, that, and it adds up to hundreds and sometimes a few thousand of euros. When you have a drone with you, when you have a smartphone, when you have stuff like that. For someone, this is,
Big bucks.
Yeah.
And again, you have to be, I've said to people over the years about things, oh, we don't have anything, we don't have, yeah, everybody's got stuff. And even if I said, a lot of junkies, a lot of crackheads, if they can make $10, they'll kill you for $10.
Okay.
If you give them the opportunity. So this is where it's like, if you have anything of wealth or any assets that's worth anything, you have to take into consideration how to protect those assets.
Okay, and how do you make yourself, or you present yourself as a harder target, like you said before?
A lot of it is just being aware of your environment, be aware of where you're going, be aware of what's going on around you. If you see a problem, have plans in place how to deal with that problem. If you're on the street and you're being followed, then have the plans in place to go somewhere safe or call somebody to come out and pick you up or something. If you think your business, your house has been actively targeted, then you need to be aware of what's going on. You need to be, how can I put it? You need to have plans in place of how to identify when things are potentially going to happen and make sure, well, in Europe, you have to alert the police.
Okay. And since we're talking about a modern era, a digital era, besides the old principles, the tried principles, what else has changed? Of what do we have to be mindful?
Well, this is where a lot of the criminals these days, they're all online criminals. So they're going to be after your credit card details, your bank details, etc. Be careful what you're doing with your phone. Make sure you don't lose the phone. Make sure your phone's not going to be hacked. Don't fall prey to scammers. Don't go open up links on your phone that you don't know what the links are. You have to just use common sense. And in some ways, the biggest one is don't friend to people on social media that you don't know. Don't go talking to people on social media you don't know. And this applies to people of all ages, because that can open a door to being scammed by a scammer, or can give people access to your phones.
Or blackmailed or whatever.
Blackmailed or whatever. It's, if you don't know people on social media, if you don't physically know them, you don't know them. They're just somebody behind a phone screen.
Okay, but someone could argue that, yeah, but I'm a guy who is selling online. I'm selling this or that on LinkedIn, on other sites. How can I not befriend this or that or the other thing?
I do business online, but they're not my friends. They're people I do business with.
Okay, so
there's a big difference.
So right? Just keeping a balance.
Keep a balance as you're doing business with them.
Okay.
They're not your friends. You're not going to give them access. You're not going to give them anything they're not paying for.
Okay.
And if you're going to be selling, then you get their credit card details or their payment details in advance before you give them anything. If you're doing business with somebody, you're not going to be giving them your banking details, right?
No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So again, a lot of it is using common sense. The thing is, the issue is with Europe, and this is, again, I spent a long time in the US, is the issue is in Europe, people don't have the right to defend themselves. Yes, you do, but the laws are very, very strict and antiquated, if you ask me. Whereas you said, it's okay, if you're in your house and there's going to be a home invasion, people are trying to break in, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, everybody will, I'm sure, will do their best to protect their families, but if there's 3 or 4 guys and they got machetes, what are you going to do? In the US, at least you got the option of having a firearm in the house and defending yourself. In Europe, you can't do much, and there's a lot of good police forces. But I'll bash. You look what's happening in the UK. To me, UK is becoming a failed state. It's on the way.
And even if it's not 3 guys with machetes or 4 guys, even if it is just 1 guy with nothing and he's just a burglar, if you touch him, he's a burglar.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They can break into your house and do whatever. You beat that guy up, you hurt him, and next minute you're in court for a heavier charge than he's at. Yeah. So this is where you have to be very, very careful. Part of your threat assessment is, okay, can you defend yourself? How are you going to defend yourself? What are you going to do if somebody breaks into your house, you hit them, and you end up being arrested by the police because you assaulted the guy?
So not only you, but also your house as a target should be...
Yeah, of course. Most burglars, most junkies, most crackheads are going to be coming to your house. Main time for burglaries during the day when people are out. So again, if you're leaving your house unattended for a long period of time, then make sure somebody's keeping an eye on it and make sure it's secured. And again, it's all basic stuff, but I think looking at the way things are going, crime, street crime, and of course cyber crime, people getting scammed, is going to be going up, especially in the near future.
That's all for tonight. Thank you very much, Orlando. And if you would like to make specific questions and get specific answers, you can always use the comment section. Again, thank you very much for your time.